The map just shifted. Not in Europe. In Venezuela. If this crisis hardens, oil lanes, air corridors, and regional deterrence all get tested at once. Here's what we'll break down next: which borders become flashpoints, which militaries actually have lift and logistics to matter, and how a sanctions squeeze can trigger unconventional moves, cyber, proxy raids, and maritime shadow games. You'll see the likely order of escalation and the one quiet capability that can tip the board without firing a shot. Stay in. The first 5 minutes will change how you read every headline this week. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. You see the food line on a screen. The first real break hides under the hood. Fuel runs thin, patrol cars sit cold, then convoys stall, then border checkpoints go dark. An economic crash doesn't just drain wallets, it strips the gears. Diesel gets rationed. Mechanics raid grounded vehicles for parts. Pay lands late, then lighter, and units slip off mission because a broken truck matters more than a briefing. A force can look large and still move like it's stuck in mud. Meanwhile, the map breathes. People push toward Colombia, Brazil, island states. Rivers and goat tracks swell with traffic. Where the state steps back, crews with radios and guns move in. They don't need orders. They flow to gaps. The force mix nearby is simple and raw. Light infantry with rifles and trucks. Riverine units with shallow draft boats.
Trekking along the roadsides of Colombia, the steady stream of Venezuelans fleeing their country has become a common sight. Many will continue further onto Ecuador and then Peru. President Nicolás Maduro is refusing to let the aid in, saying it could pave the way for US military intervention.
Venezuela never really made much of a fuss about it until 11 billion barrels of oil was discovered offshore. And now Venezuela wants to take over an area of Guyana about the size of Florida.
A thin slice of airlift that can hop troops but not sustain them for long. The routes are long, wet, and choked with jungle. A platoon can move in a day, supply can take 3. On paper, fleets look fine. Airframes and hulls have names and numbers. But readiness is about parts bins and crew hours. When maintenance cash dies, sortie rates sink. Pilots sit. Ships hug piers. Sensors that should stitch a picture blink out. Add power cuts and a quiet keyboard strike and the whole network freezes. One blackout hits pumps and depots, fuel backs up behind dead valves. A cyber poke at radar node scrambles the air picture. In one night, the state loses speed and sight. Official troop counts tell a story. Effective strength tells the truth: who has transport, ISR, and sustainment to move, spot, and hold ground. Without that trio, headcount is theater. Flashpoints light up, Arauca-Catatumbo corridors, the Essequibo line, offshore blocks. Cartels and non-state actors test the seams with probes, ferries, and fast boats. Here's the mini payoff: collapse strips lift, sensors, and pay. That invites incursions and defections. Next, the resource map becomes the battle map, and oil, gas, and gold start pulling new hands into the game. Capitals far from Caracas care because oil and gold bend strategy like gravity bends light. Energy lanes run through tankers, refineries, and insurers. When that flow kinks, prices, patrols, and policy all shift. Lay out the map. Heavy crude in the belt that feeds upgraders when they run. Offshore gas off the shelf that needs compressors, pipelines, and ships to monetize. Gold and other critical minerals that move by truck, barge, and small planes. Then the hardware that turns geology into leverage: refineries that crack heavy blends, pipelines that bypass choke points, and terminals where one stuck valve halts a week of exports. Sanctions squeeze the cash, but the gray zone stays busy. Shadow fleets change flags and routes. Ships spoof AIS, vanish near transshipment zones, then reappear full or empty. Shell traders play middleman, shifting titles and blending cargoes to keep barrels moving. So who profits? Energy importers hunting discounts, ready to accept longer routes and higher risk. Rival powers that want to blunt US reach by underwriting swaps, credit, and maintenance. Neighbors scanning disputed blocks and shallow waters, trying to anchor claims with rigs, patrol boats, and leases that create facts in place. Defections look tactical, but they carry the master keys. A pilot brings flight plans and base routines. A radar tech brings air defense modes and blind sectors. A logistician brings depot locations, fuel stocks, and convoy schedules. With that, an opponent can plan around the shield, not into it. But then cohesion cracks. Commanders purge staffs to seal leaks. Counterintelligence runs hot, slowing clearances and movement. Deployments lag. Patrol hours thin. Radios go quiet while units wait for checks and background sweeps. The quiet capability sits in courtrooms and ministries. Arbitration can freeze assets. Sanctions waivers can reopen insurers and banks. Recognition after an election can unlock financing, overflight, and port access without a single missile moving. Watch the sequence. Sanctions tighten. Cyber teams probe port logistics and customs software. Proxies stage raids near pipelines and pump stations. Then limited maritime standoffs test resolve around rigs and survey ships. Here's the mini payoff: resources pull power in, but law and finance move borders faster than missiles, and defections speed the tilt. You now know who moves first and why. The next alerts will show which lever fires and how fast the board tilts. Power shifts when logistics fail, resources pull, and law outflanks guns. The fuse is already lit along borders and sea lanes. You can see it in convoys that don't roll, tankers that steer wide, and court rulings that move money faster than armor. What would you do with one lever to steady the map, fund fuel and parts, tighten sanctions, or push legal recognition that unlocks insurers and ports? Comment your choice below. If you want the tactical mindset that reads the next move before it hits the wire, subscribe and join a community that seeks to understand the realities of modern conflict.